the first people that would have been questioned would have been the Secret Service because they allowed it to happen. And you would have started with the driver, William Greer. His negligence is obvious. You know, you can see the brake lights come on, and you had 59 different witnesses that said the motorcade stopped or nearly stopped.
And didn't they put out a video where you can't tell that it slows down and stops, but then you look at a different version of it and it's quite clear that it stops to
Yeah,
allow maybe the assassination to happen.
yeah. Well, you have lots of people that speculate that the films are altered, it's brutal, and everything else. And you know, again, we can argue that, but you had that many different witnesses, you know, who testified to and they weren't being questioned about it. They were because the council was not going to say, "Hey, was anything?" You know, they just brought it up independently. 59 different witnesses did, so they thought it was significant enough to bring it up. So clearly, if you had had a real investigation, you would have run with that, and you would have had that driver on there, and especially once they saw the Zapruder film and they see his head turn around, and he turns around and watches Kennedy's head get blown off, violating all protocol. So you would have questioned him first. So is this what your training tells you to do? You had about 6 seconds to react. The sound of gunfire, aren't you trained to accelerate out of danger? Why did you actually stop or almost stop the car? Why did you turn around and watch? What were you doing there? And then you would have talked to Roy Kellerman, who was sitting next to him on the seat. His job would have been to jump over the jump seat where Connolly was and push Kennedy down and put his body over and protect him, spread eagle liver. He didn't do that. He didn't react at all. And then, of course, you would talk to the agents in the back of the follow-up car, which is 10 feet or less away from the limousine. They could have gotten there in a second. They did nothing. Again, Clinton Hill reacted when it was too late. None of the others did anything. So that's where you would have began a real investigation. And they didn't. They didn't question the Secret Service at all. And something like the Henry Ripley thing, where you had the film of him, saying, "What the hell is going on?" That wasn't unearthed until Vince found it probably 50 years afterwards or something like that. And part of the problem with this is because, as NBC said when they agreed to that, none of the New York Times, Washington Post, all this stuff, nobody was doing any questioning. Nobody. The only person was Dorothy Kilgallen. They later killed a few years later, and she was going to write a book about it. She was, that's why I was when I was writing this book, I was impressed with how much of the early critics, how much they found, what information they got from her. She broke a lot of their stories in the columns, and she was a very famous person. So the book she wrote on it would have been earth shattering.